It's a beautiful Thursday morning here in Lagos. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the program. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. The countdown is on, and it's just about 15 days of the big one. The much talked about presidential election preparation is in top gear. We see politicians getting busy, convincing electorates to look their way at the polls. Now, some say this is perhaps the only time the electorate holds so much value to the average Nigerian politician. So you and I are going to have to make the decision whether to sell our conscience or indeed do all we can to ensure that we secure our collective future. I'm counting on you to make the right choice in this election. On the show this morning, we'll begin talking about issues ahead the general elections, how we're faring with the campaigns, the threats of violence, as well as other matters arising. I'm joined this morning by an election observer. He's a human rights activist and also a public affairs analyst, Razak Lokwoba. Good morning and thanks for joining us.
Good morning, Femi. Good morning, viewers at home.
So it's interesting how the elections, the campaigns have played out in the past couple of weeks. We may not have seen some contenders attend the debate, but we've seen some form of a town hall meeting where all of the candidates seem to have intimated Nigerians about their plans. But how issue-based would you say the campaign has been in the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, we may not be able to get onto the right path 100%, but we are gradually in the direction towards that. And by the time we're having the next election, it's going to be a likelihood of 100% issue-based election. Nigerians and particularly politicians have realized that it's no longer fashionable to wield violence, to buy conscience, mortgage the voters' future by buying their vote. It's no longer fashionable. They have realized that it is more profitable to talk about programs. It's even more cheap to talk about programs than diverting attention of Nigerians away from the real essence of what voting should be. And for a country that will get it right, that's how it should be. You must tell us what it intends to offer. Elections should be celebration. What did your candidate want to offer? It's like a competition, food competition, that my food is more delicious than your own. That's how it should be. So program should counter program. If you want to run free education, I must be able to tell you that well, free education is not possible with the economy of Nigeria, but I can give you something better. I will make sure that once you are 55 years of age, you are going to enjoy free medical care. From age 1 to 13, you are going to enjoy free medical care. So this should be a program that we should be focused. But in the last, from 1999 till about 4 years ago, that has been the pattern. The pattern has been that this election is going to be war. We are going to do everything to win this election.
A do or die affair.
Do or die affair. But in recorded history, this is about the cheapest election we have ever held in Nigeria.
Whether or not this election will be free, fair, and credible remains a subject of debate, given the back and forth we've seen between the incumbent and the opposition. For instance, the National Security Advisor recently raised a fresh alarm on moves by some politicians to cause mayhem and violence in this election. Quoting him now, unscrupulous elements already mobilizing merchants of violence, including armed bandits and terrorists, to perpetrate the nefarious acts in a number of states across the Federation. You match this with the former President Olusegun Obasanjo's letter, the statement by the Rivers State Governor, who says that there are plans to disrupt elections in Rivers such that the election will be postponed and all of that. You begin to wonder when all the parties involved seem to have a fear of violence. Where does that put us?
Well, it's good to start talking about neutral elements. Obasanjo is a politician, and other APC stalwarts who may likely reply may also be politicians. So these are political talks. But let's look at what all the stakeholders have done about this election. The first are Nigerians. There's a resolve from Nigerians that we want to vote someone who will not hold the parliament to ransom. We want to vote executives, the chairman, governors, and president, who will retrieve our lost future that has been mortgaged. So we want a judiciary that is operating with sincerity, with openness. the last resort of the common man. So that resolve has been demonstrated by Nigerians themselves. Then the political parties also follow suit by ensuring that they come up with programs. Then INEC has introduced a lot of factors that will take your attention away from rigging. For instance, if you are in the Ikeja, the ballot process you are going to use, based on what we were told, you are going to use in Ajegunle will be different. The one in Kwara will be different from the one in Kafancha, in Kogi, in Kwara. So even if you want to snap ballot boxes, it's useless. If you snap ballot here, thumbprint it with the intention of taking it to somewhere to go and add it to what you already have, it's no longer, it's not possible again. So INEC has done a very wonderful job at that. They made sure that they ignited what is called the consciousness of Nigeria to make them have hope and confidence in the electoral process. 84 is a huge number registered. It's very huge. The Northwest has the highest number of registered voters, followed by the Southwest. The state with the highest number of registered voters is Lagos. The least state with is Bayelsa. The least region is South East. So all these, we didn't see all these things before. So for me, the election will be free and fair. Nigerians should rise up against institution, political party, and individual that want to introduce violence into election. For the rest of the world, they are watching us. Nigeria, no African country is one of the 10 leading countries in the world.
I like your optimism about having a free, fair, and credible election, but also very significant are the fears raised by even the federal government itself. For instance, in the past couple of days, we've heard of kidnappings of the APC chairman in, I think, Taraba, in Adamawa, in Abia State. There's the abduction of the chief press secretary in Taraba State. There's the kidnap of a House of Assembly candidate in Edo State. And it appears to, it's fast becoming the norm. You begin to wonder what is expected of stakeholders right now. If you recall that in 2015, the election was postponed because of violence.
Yeah, you see, I was about to mention the last institution when your question came in. The last institution is the government. All the government machineries, all the arms of government, the executive, the judiciary, and the parliament must also be up and coming. 2 INEC officials have been sentenced. So all these people who were perpetrating all these crimes should be brought to book. There should be consequence. So it's not about people having consciousness that I want to vote for the first time. I'm ready to vote. Nobody is going to inspire me to vote. I want to vote a parliamentary member, a local government chairman, and governor of my choice for the first time. If you have that consciousness, then the party also woke up. Now, if you have said about the people, the party, then the government is the last. Government machineries and apparatus and 3 arms of government must also demonstrate that they are serious. And what has happened in a few weeks back by sentencing the 2 INEC officials is a good thing. So it's going to be all over the world. People don't just wake up to obey laws, but because there are consequences, apart from consciousness in the society that there are high moral standards, consequence is the first thing. Why do I worship God? The first thing, I want to go to paradise. Me, as a Muslim, I want to go to paradise. If I don't go to paradise, they said they will be here. I don't want to go to hell. So if you do good, there's a reward for it. If you do bad, there's a consequence.
So INEC officials now know that if they err,
there's a consequence for that. So all these
institutions,
all these stakeholders must be up and coming. And the people who, the institution who will bear the highest brunt if it fails are the people. And that's why there must be eternal vigilance on the side of the people.
You mentioned earlier that the whole world is watching Nigeria right now. It brings to mind the statement by the US as well as the UK, threatening to the point of withdrawing visas from individuals who would foment trouble in this coming election. But let's just look at how things have played out in the recent past, especially the position of the United States and the UK about suspension of the CJN. The federal government didn't have it. They said, well, this is a sovereign nation, and perhaps their point of view or their opinion is not as balanced as they foresee it. Now, if that is the precedent, what role do you see them play in the forthcoming election?
Well, they need to, one thing I just want to encourage our federal government to do is to encourage every nation to relate to Nigeria as it was. This is like a principal to student relationship when you say you want to withdraw visa. If you withdraw visa for Nigerian government, should also tell American government that we withdraw your visa too. So they are relating with us
If you
as
compare the
brother,
ratio
junior brother,
of
and
people
senior
coming
brother.
in and going out.
No, it's not. It's, to me, as an activist, it's as an insult. There's no African country language that is spoken in the United Nations Parliament. It's because of our attitude. I just told you, one of the 10 largest country in the world. Algeria is number 10. Nigeria is the largest in terms of population. But in economy, no African country is number. Japan is number 3. It doesn't have anything to do with prosperity. Mountainous, 80% sea. So, but they prosper. They're number 2 economy, 3 on the economy in the world today. So, Nigerian African government and Nigerian government particularly, who is seen as a senior brother to us, must encourage foreign nations, particularly America and Britain and Europe, and whatever country that want to relate with us, they should talk to us as equals. The threat of visa withdrawal is an insult. If you say that, as a nation, we see Nigeria as important ally. We see it as important partner, and it is central to the development of Africa. We relate, we do economy together, we do business together, and our economy will be endangered if your democracy is endangered.
But then do we understand?
To that extent, we may have to moderate our review relationship with you if your election is not fair and fair. That's better.
Do we understand precisely what the yardsticks are for a credible election? Because the 2015 election seemed to have been an improvement on the past, fairly adjudged as free and fair.
Yes.
But then, how then do we, for instance, the PDP presidential candidate yesterday at the town hall meeting said he was going to accept a credible election. He was going to accept the result from a credible poll. Are we on the same page as regards what the credible poll would be next month?
Each party has conducted election in Nigeria 5 times. And yeah, the party tells us that this election is credible, except the last time when it was in the APC, but it was in PDP while they conducted election 4 times. Even if it's outside the APC when the election was conducted, but he was a VP. He was first a PDP member when he became the VP. He conducted election as VP. It was the government, part of the government machinery that conducted that election as the VP. He presided over the annex is an arm of the executive. So nobody should threaten us with whether it's going to accept the result or not accept. Nigerians should be the one to judge. Observers, the international communities, should be the one to judge if this election is credible or not. Nigerian politicians, they have an attitude which must stop if the country must move forward. If you win election,
that
election
is my point.
If you lose election, that election is not credible.
Have there not been time where the international observers and the incumbent government in Africa don't seem to agree as regards the credibility of an election? So the EU, for instance, says, no, that election did not go the way it should go, but the incumbent government says that's not exactly the situation.
The most important thing is for we Nigerians to first ensure that we are objective in our participation. As observer, as voter, as neutral body, we must be objective. Once we are objective, the rest of the world don't have option than to agree with us that based on what Nigerians have said, Michael is going for the 3rd time. Is that result? Chinese president will be there forever until he dies, based on their constitution. So if it is the resolve of the people that this election is credible, no international community has the right to come and meddle in our affair because we set our laws. We know our laws. Except if it is outrageously ridiculous. That's when they will say, what kind of people are you? How can you accept this kind of election as being credible? And by that time, you also see the sentiment within the nation that will say, no, this election is not credible. But gone are the days when you suppress the view of Nigerians that this is the color of this election. And the government says this is the color. Gone are those days. Nobody's view can be suppressed. There's social media. There are several platforms you can express your views now. So in the interest of the political parties, in the interest of the Nigerian government and the apparatus that conducts election, the INEC, the security agent, it is in the interest of all of us to ensure that we introduce indices, we introduce factors, we introduce strategy, program that will make this election credible. And that's what INEC has been able to do. That's why we must commend what INEC has done.
So it appears that we have the moral burden right now to prove our mettle, in the Committee of Nations and prove a point to the international community that we have come of age.
I agree with you.
But then, what do you expect agencies of government to do at this time, the umpire, security operatives, at the time where there appears to be intelligence reports across board that there are plans to truncate this election?
I look at the credibility of the guy who's presiding over the nation, which is Buhari. I know that you see, why is it that people are saying that this election is not being funded thoroughly? The man in power, the man in question is saying that I want you to vote for me if you think I should be your president. If you think I don't want to be your president, I'm not ready to buy your conscience. And morale wins war. See, a flock of lions with sheep as a leader will be easily defeated. But if you have flock of sheep led by a lion, they will win wars. So because of the kind of person Buhari is, agencies are setting up. Public officers will think twice if you want to engage in any corrupt activities since 2015. You have to think twice. So that is enough for any public officer to sit up. The IG, the new IG is there. I was thinking that maybe he's going to elongate his term. He didn't do that. Okay, it's been tried now. The NIA man. Babachi is also been taken to court. So Onoge has been removed, has been suspended. So all this is an indication that we are getting our nation back.
Unfortunately, not everybody shares your opinion. For every reason you have given, the opposition will tell you that they are also, very carefully plotted.
They have my sympathy
to tamper and
they have my
in
sympathy
this
for that. They have my sympathy for that, because read the history of every nation. Change is a technical process, and the biggest beneficiary when that change will be the one that will complain most. Buhari time affects everybody, including me. So, and I know that is the price we have to pay if we want to have our nation back. I knew and I braced up that it's going to be this difficult. I knew that this is going to be the sequence is go. I know the difficulty that we are going to encounter if we want to have our country. So I braced up for it. What APC has promised is not my business. I have my end on top of my head. I will not submit my superior intelligence to the politicians who will begin to blackmail the government that they have not done this.
The removal of the CGN, for instance, is already being contested in court. We're hoping to find a closure to that in the coming days. But let's talk about some other indices that will matter in this coming election. So the presidential candidate of the ACPN a couple of days ago withdrew from the race, and our position was the fact that he wants to inspire a coalition. How relevant is that given the number of days we have before this election?
Well, it's not a strange thing. And we are going to add it to our political dictionary and are part of our political experience. You see, there are people who contest election. The reigning lunatics in the UK contest election with the aim of losing woefully. There's glory in loss. To inspire, to encourage people to accept defeat. That's the essence of their party. In America, you have the Republican and the Democrat. Other small parties collaborate. That this is our ancestral place. Will your policy sustain and protect our ancestral home? To that extent, we are going to be part of Republican. Then the Democrats said that, of course, gun lances, an eye for an eye, is going to make everybody blind. So if there are parties that signify intention every year to withdraw a week to go election to say that we will always want to talk about that might be their own plan. It's the nation building comes different ways. So I don't want to be for anything. He has not done anything out of place.
The idea of a third force has been mouthed long before we got to this juncture in the campaign exercise. Is that a feasible exercise? I mean, is it feasible in this particular election?
Well, I say the third force as a distraction, political distraction.
How do you mean?
Because Buhari said that I'm going to withdraw all the oil licenses and I'm going to give states. That's in a way the destruction of all the clamoring for. 90% of people in the third force, I know virtually many of them, that we've been in the advocacy of restructuring in Nigeria before. But it's a sharp contradiction for what they stand for in life. It's a sharp contradiction. You are always been clamoring for restructuring. Then suddenly you're talking about force. You are no longer in the military era. So why the need for the force? It's a democratic institution. The language you use at times matters a lot. Then the content of your program matters. So it is not in the interest of Nigerians to follow their advocacy. It is not in the interest of Nigerians. You come out with programs. You can't make your manifesto that I want to be an opposition. That's not a manifesto. That's not a program. So the manifesto of third force is I want to continue to oppose the government in power today. Not at all time, but this particular government. That's not a manifesto. That's a distraction.
When you look at the character of the personalities involved, do you see them compromise and, decide for a single name?
Third voice is a compromise already.
I'm trying to say precisely here, of course, you saw the presidential debate.
Yeah.
There are the Mogaloos of this election. Yeah. There's the Showore, the Feladroto, and all of that. Do you think these people will step down for someone eventually before February 16?
I don't wish they do, even if they are planning to. I don't wish they do. I don't wish they do. That means we have taken a step forward in Nigeria and we are taking 10 steps backward.
But what is their chance of running alone?
That is not a good thing.
What's their chances?
Like I told you at times, parties at times, some parties don't contest election to win. And I think that's the intention of many of them. They just want to make a point. Not making a point that I want to be popular, but making a point that I want to inspire certain sector in Nigeria, maybe the youth.
I've interviewed a couple of them. I'm not sure they share your sentiment. They tell you confidently that they have all it takes to win this election. So
that's what I'm saying. We need that confidence. That confidence is going to inspire a lot of people.
You don't think that confidence will be further boosted if they come together?
Well, I said I don't wish they come together. I wish that they go it all alone. But if they come together as a coalition, I consider it as an exercise in futility.
So we have seen...
They are not making any point. They will make more points if they go as an individual than going into coalition. They are going into oblivion.
So there are over 90 parties contesting this election, over 70 presidential candidates. We've seen some coalition, the CUPP, the presidential aspirants coming together. But then, as some would say, it's quite unprecedented, the huge number of presidential candidates in this election. Is it the way to go? I'm thinking, for instance, how long the ballot paper is going to be in this election and how long it will take to also count the election.
See, we are passing through an historical process. There are countries in the world that are passing through this process. It's necessary. All the things we are witnessing, they are necessary indices that we are getting it right. It must happen. If we didn't pass this through process, we'll still come back to it. This is the process that we were taking away from the part, and we are getting back to that part. The next election, we will get it better. We will learn to know that my strength and your strength is better put together from the beginning, not now. So I don't say anything about what
But there's the school of thought that before new political parties are registered or even before another election, proper research should be done as regards to strength of a party, if that have the capacity, the structure to win elections, if that won elections in the past. Because in this election, there are some that call the contenders, or the pretenders, as many call them.
My brother.
I'm just thinking here that, is it necessary to keep opening up new parties if they're not winning elections?
My brother, there are over 500 political parties in America. Over 500. You can Google it.
But not all of them. Not all of them participate in elections. Let me take this call very quickly.
Shouldn't be the one to compel parties not to contest. Their strength should be the one to compel them to match their program with other political parties.
I'll be back with you, Mr. Lokoba. Let's take this call from Ikeja. Good morning, Judge.
Good morning, Nifemi, and good morning to the guests.
Good morning, sir.
Nifemi, I share the positive sentiments of Mr. Lokoba. There will be no violence as being, projected by some people. What is happening is that this is the first election where the incumbent is fighting corruption, and corruption is fighting back. In 2015, they didn't anticipate he would win. They were not fighting a corruption fighter at that time. This is the first time they are fighting a corruption fighter. And you know that these people, they are vocal, they are in the minority, what just happened is that they own about 95% of the media. They have all the money. And they can talk. They are very vocal. They are good speakers by all standards. So this is why it's making it look as if the heavens want to fall. Nothing will happen. The elections will hold, and there will be no fight. There will be no crisis. That's what I can tell you. If you like, mark my words. They are only threatening because those who know that they cannot win are the ones trying to threaten fire and brimstone, so that they will have reason to complain at the end of the day that they were rigged out.
I appreciate your optimism, and I hope that that should be our experience ahead of this particular election. You were talking about the need for more. The more the merrier, right?
Yeah, you see, your capacity should be, once we be Nigerians, it's just they don't want to give orientation to them, I mean the politicians. We should begin to give orientation to politicians that you should be able to determine your strength. The bottom line is that I want to offer good service for Nigeria, and it's not important to be me. It could be you, it could be me. What we want is that better life for Nigeria. And if that is, and that's the driving force behind the politicians of countries who got it right. That's the driving force. So if that is the case, the Republican and the Democrat, you will have small parties seeking alliance with them. So process will get us there. It's not legislation. If you legislate it, who will resist? I will be the one to resist it. I'll be one of the people that march on the street that this is dictatorial, this is not
You're
correct.
saying that
so
eventually we're going to wake up to the reality of what works and align in that cause.
Where parties will know that I must definitely align with other parties who appreciate my program and my manifesto, and on the basis of that, they form and go to the poll.
Let's take Emmanuel's call very quickly. Good morning, Emmanuel.
Good morning, sir.
Glad to have you. Please go ahead.
Okay. Sir, what I want to say is this coming election is going to be between the progressive and the retrogressive. Yeah. And can you hear me?
Yes, very clearly.
Okay. It's going to be between the progressive and the retrogressive. And as I speak this morning, I'm not seeing any contest. The incumbent will win because if you look at our politics of today, prior before this election period, a lot of people have been saying that, it's an election year. There will be a lot of money in circulation. People will make money. But you can see what is happening. There's no money. Even the politicians are not even sharing gifts as it used to be, which shows that we've made progress and we've set standards for ourselves as a nation that never again will anybody found wanting of corrupt allegation or with an obscure personality occupy Asho.
I think you made your point very clear, Emmanuel. Thank you very much for calling in. It might be too early to say who will win. The election is on the 16th of February. And I must thank you very kindly for honoring us with a very interesting conversation this morning. Election observer, human rights activist, public affairs analyst, Mr. Razak Olukoba. Glad to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
When I return, I'll be joined by a candidate in this forthcoming election is running for the House of Reps in Lagos, and he will be sharing with us how he intends to make it happen. That will be after this break. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us. In addition to the presidential election on the 16th of February, it's the National Assembly election. Rather, the Senate seemed to have adjourned plenary till after that particular exercise. I'm joined now by a gentleman running for the Alimosho Federal Constituency. He's seeking to represent his constituency at the House of Representatives under the platform of the AD. Mr. Benga Amuludun, good morning and thanks for joining us on the program.
Good morning, Nifemi.
Interesting name, Amuludun. What does that mean?
Someone who makes the entire place interesting.
So you should be in entertainment, not in politics.
Well, politics is form of entertainment too, where you make people happy.
Just kidding.
By serving them well.
All right, so the House of Reps that you're aspiring to join just approved 30,000 naira minimum wage as against the, advice given by the National Council of State. What are your thoughts about that decision?
Well, 30,000 today is still small. So if the House of Reps approved 30,000, I think they are only yielding to the yearnings of Nigerians. They are the ones representing the people at the grassroots, and they know what worker want, or what all these workers needs and wants. So to me, 30,000 is all right.
You would have supported that decision if you were a member of the House?
Yes, I will.
As of last year, you were described as an aspirant on the platform of the All Progressives Congress, and already you're changing parties. You look so young, and you seem to have joined the old league of politicians who change parties like they are changing their clothes. How do you explain that?
For me, I changed party for very special reasons, based on principle. Every political party is a creation of the law of Nigeria, the Constitution of Nigeria. And I expect that every party should also stick to their laws. The All Progressive Congress had its own constitution, and the constitution is supposed to promote internal democracy. And where that is missing, someone like me who feels I joined the party simply because I read the manifesto, read the constitution, and was hoping that if I follow through the mechanism of the provisions or articles of that constitution, I should be able to, vie for positions and win on merit. And a situation where the party turned around after telling the whole world that you're going to do direct primaries, only to turn around and come with lists imposing candidates on other members of the party. That was what led to my leaving the party.
So you left in protest?
Yes.
Because you were not excited about what happened. But I'm concerned about the fact that you are a member of the ACN long before it metamorphosized into the APC. You had an active involvement in several campaign efforts of the APC aspirants in Alimosho Federal Constituency. You also once served as an aide and constituency director general to the honorable member representing Alimosho Constituency 1 at the Lagos State House of Assembly.
That's correct.
One would have thought that as a young and vibrant potential leader, you would stick with the party and ensure that things are done right. As some would say, perhaps you should have just waited for your time.
Well, every individual is entitled to their own vision, to their own dream.
Apparently.
I joined the party with very high hopes, and that was why I committed myself, my energy, my time to supporting others. I did that simply because I wanted to promote the party. I wanted to let even colleagues who are not into politics yet know that entrepreneurs, graduates can also be in politics, regardless of what position you start from. I took up positions that literally would look like belittling for me, but I didn't mind because I was hoping that when you serve the people, you're also serving God. So I worked as a voluntary aide to the House of Assembly member at the 7th Assembly. I also moved on to work as a personal assistant to the current House of Reps before we parted ways in October. Then I was doing all this for me to be able to learn. The learning curve was there. And I was expecting that sometime, yes, if the process is followed, it will get to my turn like you have said. But when you now see that even the articles of our own party is not being followed, then where lies the hope? That means you need to be the son of someone, or you need to have a godfather somewhere before you can get to the level you want to get to. But we should create a system in Nigeria where anyone who is willing to serve, not necessarily knowing anybody, can pick up a party's constitution. If it aligns with your own personal principle, your personal convictions, and you follow through, serve the party dedicatedly, then sometime your popularity will also work stronger.
So you mentioned that you were one of the statutory aides to the current honorable member of the House of Representatives representing your constituency.
Right.
Before you parted ways October last year.
Yes.
It sounds like you were learning the ropes, right?
Yes.
Did you get his blessings?
Well, like I said, every individual has his own dream and vision. Unlike my experience with the House of Assembly member, where I learned, a lot, I would say I practically learned nothing. Working with the incumbent House of Reps member. And it is glaring all over Alimosho. If I ask you now, do you know the incumbent House of Reps in Alimosho? I'm sure you wouldn't know him.
Of course I do know him.
Okay, you do know him,
Yeah.
Okay. But not many people know him.
I Googled the name actually.
You have to
I'm not supposed to know every House of Reps member, am I?
No. Why I said that is this. If you are popular in your constituency, even those who don't live there will know you. So either they've, let
No, we're going to leave that popularity discussion to the constituents.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I only have one person sitting right in front of me, so
Okay.
we can't make that blind assumption. But my concern is he also running in this election?
Yes.
So you're running against your boss?
Yes.
What are your chances?
Well, the chances are bright because, like you've said, the constituents are going to make their decision. And I'm very sure that for now, Alamoshire constituents are going to reject the candidates of the ruling party because he has failed them. He has failed them. It's over 3.5 years.
According to you?
Yes, according to many people.
Yeah, because that has nothing to do with TVC at this point.
No, it has nothing to do with TVC. I've been to so many stakeholders meetings, town hall meetings, met with huge voting blocks, and the feedbacks I'm getting from them is, who is our House of Reps? Just like I said, you even have to rely on Google to be able to know him. There are some candidates
the
in
same
Lagos
way I
today.
Googled you. No, you can't use my, because I never heard of you as well.
Okay.
I heard your name and had to Google you, checked your Twitter handle. I do that for all of my guests on the show.
Okay.
So it has nothing to do with your popularity.
Thank God you could pick up my Twitter handle and Facebook account. This person we're saying, I'm sure he doesn't have a social media presence. So even if you Google, you won't see.
All right, so this discussion is not about him. Let's focus. Let's focus on you. And sometime last year, you called for part-time legislator as a means to cut down on cost of governance.
That's correct.
Why should you believe in that? For instance, as we speak right now, where there seems to be a full-time legislator, most of our lawmakers do not even sit for up to 6 months in the whole calendar year. So when you have part-time legislature, how do you do that such that we don't have skeletal lawmaking taking place?
Yeah, by virtue of the calendar of the National Assembly, they are working part-time in view of the number of times they sit and the number of times they go on recess. So if you add it up, it's part-time.
But the recess for them is also supposed to, include some supervisory roles at their constituency, getting back to their constituents and then ensuring that they are in tandem with their needs and their aspirations.
Yeah, for me, aside working part-time, I think we've placed too much premium, on elected offices by virtue of remuneration. So we've made the position so attractive that it is now the reason why people are going into serving rather than having to serve people. So part-time legislation, I'm for it. In fact, if we have to also pass a bill or a law that will ensure that the remuneration or the perks of office for this category of public office holder is also reduced so that the attraction won't be monetary, but rather service.
And you are ready to have that happen. Are you looking forward to moving that bill if you become, a member of the House of Reps?
Yes, I will work with several other House of Reps members who also think in this,
Assuming that your colleagues are also going to buy into that idea.
Yes, well, that's the work of a congressman. You need to get people to buy into your vision, lobby them, convince them, then you work together and make it happen.
You look pretty young, but I'm not going to be deceived by your look. How old exactly are you?
Well, you look pretty young too.
I am young because I am young.
I'm 41.
Oh, beautiful. So you are not one of those taking advantage of the not too young to run act.
Well, by look, I think I am taking advantage of it, but not necessarily by age. Yes.
All right. So you're running under the platform of the AD. What are the chances of your party? I'm not sure if that party has won any election in that constituency since 1999. We know, the predominant party in that area. You seem not to have bought into, what your previous boss has done in the past years, but you've worked with him. If it was a failure, according to you, then you were part of the failure because you just left him October 2017. But let's talk about your party and the chances of that party in this election.
Well, to every man his cross. I joined him in 2015, and 2.5 years was enough for me to understand whether this is the path I want to take or not.
It took you 2.5 years.
Yes.
That's more than half of a single term.
While I was with him, we had one successful outing, which was a huge, massive empowerment program, which is still the only thing that we can point to in that tenure. But let's leave that. You've said this is about me. About my party. Contrary to your earlier submission, AD, if you recall, was the party even Ashwaji Bola Tinubu used to become the governor of Lagos State. So 1999, AD swept almost all the positions in Lagos State. Before, we moved to AC.
Before
ACN.
the old structure collapsed into a completely new party.
Oh, well, I won't
say
collapsed.
So the AD of today might not be the AD of 1999.
They moved structure to AC to APC. What I've simply done is to go back to the mother of all parties. That's the AD. AD, if I have to analyze it now, is the mother of AC, ACN, then APC. So I've just moved from my mom. I'm moved back to my great-grandmom, just for me to be able to retrace my step back to the progressive fold. The Afeniferians were the ones who promoted AD then. So right now, our party is saying we want to take the collective wealth of our people from a few people back to the generality of the people, the less privileged. In Alimosho today, if you move around, what you will witness is people groaning under several, pains and complaints. So my team were out yesterday on a door-to-door campaign, and they were practically beaten somewhere. Those people felt they were APC, only for them to say, no, we are AD. They showed them their roads, their drainages, several other things that people are yearning to have. This election is simply between complacency and competency. I want to believe the All Progressive Congress have become complacent. So we need a more vibrant party with young people who are ready to engage.
So this is your newly found commitment for the AD, which you apparently did not show to your former party. Is it as a result of the fact that you're running under that platform for this election? Or is it something that's also subject to change if you are going to run in another election?
Well, if I have served someone who ran for the House of Assembly, served someone who ran for the House of Reps, then I think that's enough evidence to show my commitment and passion, determination for the progressive fold.
That's for like how many years?
That was since 2010.
Okay.
2010
to 2019.
Yeah, 2019.
Some 8 years.
Yes, so 8 years, 9 years. And I learned the ropes, all the while. Now I realize that some of the dreams I have, some of the vision I have for the people, which I'm trying to pass through some of these leaders I've worked with, they are not going the way I want them to go. So rather than push my dreams through them, I'm hoping, okay, why don't I sell my dream to the people? And if they buy into it, I can actually,
My question really is, have you come to stay with the AD now? Okay. Are you planning to also use some 8 years or 9 years with the AD before you move to other parties?
Well, I chose my party carefully.
Okay.
There are lots of parties right now. And even while I was contemplating which party to use the ticket, I thought of it properly. I prayed about it. And I decided to choose. And
God told you to pick the...
Oh, well, I didn't want to. I didn't want to.
Because you mentioned praying about it.
So I chose AD for a very peculiar reason. One, the manifestos are similar. Two, that is our source. That was where we started from. And then three, all in all, we're all progressives. So I don't see myself leaving AD, in the short term. And hopefully, when I'm victorious, to be an excellent opportunity for me to promote the party within the Alimosho axis there.
Beautiful. So you used to be with the banking sector, right? Rose to the role of deputy manager, and then before you moved into entrepreneurship. What would you say you have learned thus far and that is relevant in this office you're seeking for?
Well, many of us really do not realize our journey until they come into fusion. I went into banking industry immediately. I left youth service. And today, I think I'm going to be following on that experience to also help my people in the Alimosho constituency. Last week, I declared to traders, artisans, and market women, whom after engagement and interactions, I realized that most of the problem they have with their business is startup capital or expansion capital. So now, I'm going to be talking to a few microfinance banks, a few commercial banks, even the ones I've worked with, if possible, where I can create access to microcredit for these categories of people. And I'm starting with a revolving credit of about 50 million. But the condition is you must be...
How do you intend to get that money?
I just said I'm going to approach microfinance banks.
And even the ones that you've worked with earlier.
Let's
take this call from Abia State. Good morning, Okorafo.
Good morning, Mr. Dufemi. Good morning, our guests.
Good morning.
Good morning, my brother. My brother, John, I want to find out from you. Now, you have seen that there's hunger in the land. Now, how will you, as a potential Federal House of Rep member, solve the problem within your own constituency? So, what formula will you use? I'm asking this question because every day we are complaining about economy, insecurity and the rest. So how will you solve this problem? Because I'm asking this because by the time you solve it, I don't know the formula, by the time you solve it, you know it will help reduce all these vices in the society.
Thank you very much for calling in, Okurafo. Are your constituents hungry? Maybe that's a good way to start.
Well, I won't use the word hungry. I think its call was even timely. I was talking about empowering my people by improving their businesses through microcredits, which I intend to get access for them through microfinance banks or commercial banks. Now,
why do you need to be a member of the House of Reps to do this? Because you mentioned that you might even weigh in some of your connections, while you worked in the banking sector. Did you need to win an election to already empower the constituents in Alimosho?
Now, going into the House of Reps will give me opportunities to be able to liaise or even work with other members. I am going to be just one member. I'll be making friends with 359 more members. Now, my constituents needs a huge amount of credit for them to be able to expand their business. Now, as a honorable member, I can use my office to be able to call in lenders and say, okay, for my constituents, I would like to work on the microcredit. BOI is already doing one, that's Bank of Industry, some other banks are doing theirs, but this is specifically for my constituents. You must be a member of Alimosho constituents, you must be a registered member of a trade association or the artisan association, whereby all I need to be doing is using my good office to guarantee that credit.
I hope they won't have to be a registered member of your party.
No. Okay. Once elected, I cease to become the reps for AD. I'm not the reps for the entire Alimosho people. So it won't have to be a condition to be my party. No, hell no.
Let's take this call from Dr. Mo. Good morning, Yakubu.
Good morning, Mr.
Glad to have you, Cam.
And good morning to your guys in the studio.
Good morning.
I heard that I learned your guest said something earlier that about the godfatherism. I can tell you, sir, with due respect, election in Nigeria and then beyond this country, somehow, that's not how you can do it without godfatherism. You may be able to minimize that. You rightly said earlier that you work for someone for 4 years, another person for 4 years, taking 8 years. So for you to learn the rules. Now that I have one question for you, sir. The question is this. For example, if you finally won the election, will you be able to tell Alimosho constituency the amount that you are taking as a salary, and then what is your constituency amount you are taking for constituency allowances? And then you said that you are going to make sure that you put a bill whereby the House of Representatives will be a part-time sitting. I can tell you, all the remaining people that are going to work with you in that House of Assembly, they wouldn't like that. But they suspended you for pushing that thing against their own will. They suspend you from the house. What do you do? Thank you.
Thank you for your call, Yaku. You seem to wear a smile on your face. So let's begin with the first question. Will you be willing to tell your constituents how much you earn as a member of the Federal House of Reps?
I'll be more than willing to do that.
But are you telling them how much you're worth right now? Because that is also very relevant. We've seen that play out in the past couple of years, the challenge with false asset declaration. Are you willing to tell everyone how much you're worth right now?
Of course.
Okay.
Even in my profile, which I also follow to your email or your box, everything about me is there. The businesses I am directors to, what I'm doing. My banking experience, really taught me a lot of ethical standards, corporate governance. And I want to believe that if you really want to succeed with the people, you need to be very transparent with them.
That profile did not tell us precisely how many houses you own, how much money you have in your bank account.
You have to wait until I fill my code of conduct form.
Fantastic way to answer that. But then he was also, referring to how to carry other people along, especially in your move for a part-time legislature. It took it as far as you might even get suspended for that.
Yes, and that was why I was wearing a smile. First, my goal is to ensure that I encourage others who are also like me, who think like me, who have the same ideology like me, to also get into politics. We seem to always concentrate on governance alone. We forget that people get thrown into government via a process. That process is the political process. So we must ensure that people like Nifemi, people like Bimga, people like doing here are also involved in the political process. Once the political process throws in good people, then you can rest assured that the good policies will follow. But most of us shy away from the political process. When I get to the floor, like I said earlier, I'll be making friends with 359 more House of Assembly members, out of which I would love to have close partnership and friendship with half of them.
So apart
that I can
from
be able to work,
empowering your constituents, with the empowerment scheme you shared earlier, what other issues have you been able to identify as the very important needs of the people in Alimosho?
Yeah, one of the very important needs, which is at my own heart right now, is an abandoned health center in one of my zones. That zone is called A Zone, in Kokumo, around Moshalashi area of Alimosho. When the incumbent came in 2015, that was one of the first projects I called his attention to. Coincidentally, a young man too was the one who started it. That was Olamilekon Yayi, when he was in House of Reps. So he couldn't finish it. So I did my investigation, asked questions from the CDA, CDC. I said, okay, why don't we follow up with this project? Get who the contractor is, how much money has been mobilized for him, and let's see how we can complete it in this first tenure. On achieving victory at the polls, that would be one of my top priorities. The people in that area need access to health care.
Lobbying is key to achieving your goals as a member of the House of Reps.
That's correct.
So I'm wondering if you could not lobby your immediate boss, who you had access to as an aide to at that time, to fix this challenge. How do you prove your mettle to be able to lobby your colleagues to even pass a bill as a member of the House of Reps?
Yeah, lobby is about personal relationship.
Because you worked with your boss,
Yeah.
who happens to be a member representing that constituency.
Yeah.
You understand that they need a health center.
Yeah.
How come you could not convince him to direct all the resources he has, into that particular project?
Yeah, we have different passion, and our determination to serve is also very different. I was doing that as an aide, and if I could do that as an aide, if I'm the honorable member, you can imagine what I would do. So you can only force a horse to the river. You can't force the horse to drink. Understand? I have done my bit to serve while I was even a follower, while I was working with someone. Now I'm trying to lead. And with my ideologies, with my vision, and with my determination, I should be able to get other members to work with me. We are not going to be contesting on the floor. I'm only going to be lobbying them to support my bills, because they too will, in return, need my support for their own bills.
What is the mode of funding for your campaigns in this election? Did you bring it from the bank?
Well, it's been families and friends. Families and friends. Like you said, godfatherism is still a problem. But I always respond by saying...
I hope this family and friends do not constitute a new breed of godfatherism who are looking forward to you emerge as winner and also take back the money when the time is ripe.
Well, in this case, it's diverse, friends and families. So it's not going to...
It's the same thing. If the more diverse they are, the more money they ask for.
No. It won't be like that. And these are people who bought into my vision. These are people who are desirous of change in Nigeria. And they feel if you're starting with your constituency, we can also support you with it. Some rely on godfathers.
Let's take one more call before we leave from Iyanok Pajag. Hello, Benga. Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Please go ahead with your contribution. You have 30 seconds.
Hello, is it what?
Go ahead with the contribution. You have just 30 seconds.
Yes, I have my contribution to ask that our candidate something.
Go ahead very quickly, please.
Yeah, please.
Benga, go ahead with your question.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Anifemi, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, I also asked our AD candidate something from, I'm from Yanapaja. Now, please, as many as Alimosho is, you know that Alimosho is the largest in Lagos State, please. So how are you going to cope with your people and how to be able to promote them? You understand all the artisans, the market woman.
It's all right. I think you made a point very quickly. How do you cope with the complex nature and the huge number of people in that area?
Well, we are waiting for the government to do a census, but from unofficial figures, we're looking at Alimosho at almost 6 million people now. INEC releases figures too. Alimosho has about 774,443 registered voters, just a little behind Koshofe. we're big.
We have to go now because
yeah,
of time.
it's all right.
And I must thank you very kindly for coming. Benga Amododu is the AD candidate for the Federal House of Reps, Alimosho constituency. I wish you all the best.
Thank you very much.
In your endeavors.
You.
That's our show today. Thanks for being a part of it. We'll be back tomorrow. Of course, Bonki Yori will be on the show with more. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. Do have a great day.